My parents are awesome. They got me into every sport growing up. So I was in gymnastics, basketball, dance, figure skating was the first one, golf, a lot of different things. And dance was the real thing that stuck for me. I grew up with an older brother, 4 years older than me, and I love him dearly. We're very, very close, even though we're really far apart. He now lives in Cambodia, and I live in California. So we're very far apart. We still talk daily through text message, and we FaceTime and talk on the phone. So that's my best friend. He knows me the best. It's the most similar person to me in this world, and so it's great to be around somebody like that. And I mean, I've always wanted younger siblings because we were so close, and that's what I valued in our family. And another thing is that my parents always let us make our own decisions and never really forced us one way or another. So both of us ended up being engineers. Both of my parents are computer specialists, and so it was just something that was more ingrained in us than it was forced upon us. So just gave us all the options and let us choose from there. So really had a great childhood. Loved it. But then at the University of Michigan, I was one of two black women in my class. And the other one, she actually did community college and transferred in around my junior year. And to this day, we still talk, but there were a few other, I can count them on my hand, probably less than five, I would say about three in my class, black men. And we would get together and kind of do our homeworks together. I mean, we were through the path the whole time together. But it was a clear difference in the way that we studied. We didn't necessarily know what to study. We ended up finding there was value in past exams that we had to find out, but luckily I was part of the National Society of Black Engineers. So it was a group of us that were from all majors, and so even in NSBE, I was the only aerospace engineer. So in this group of all black engineers, I was the only one doing aerospace. I considered multiple times transferring out to something that may be easier or, just a different mindset. I wouldn't say that any major was easier, but just something that took a little bit less calculus or, some of the harder subjects that people struggle with. So from there, it was more just, I realized I would switch to math as a major potentially, but then I would have to take abstract algebra and classes that wasn't really interested in at all. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll do mechanical engineering. And then at that point, I already knew that mechanical engineering are things that kind of move on the ground in 2 dimensions, like cars and trains. In aerospace, the only difference is we move in 3 dimensions. So airplanes, space shuttles, things like that. So I'm like, I might as well go for the hardest one and always be considered a rocket scientist. And let me just finish what I've already started. And then I always reflected back to high school. The reason that I did this was really to save people's lives in the future. So that's why I finished aerospace. You have to start to remove your feelings about your state, because the only thing that I can continue to be is black and female, and so to feel bad or inferior about being black and female, it doesn't help anyone, and especially me. So it's a way of life, just like being black's a way of life. There's a lot of things done against us, a lot of injustices, a lot of history around it. Same thing with being a woman. A lot of injustice, a lot of separation that have been done intentionally during wartime, for example. Women were brought into manufacturing jobs, and then when people came back from war, women were moved out of those jobs. So there's a lot of things intentionally that were done against women and against black Americans where it's sad, but you have to remove yourself from those situations. There's a lot of things about being a woman that sometimes are seen as negative attributes or weaknesses in a woman. So crying at work like I've done before are seen as weaknesses when they're really strengths. Being able to empathize with somebody, being able to put yourself in the position that somebody else is in, so much so where you have the emotion that someone else is feeling. I think that's a strength that women have. So, I mean, being a Black woman today, it's really awesome. I mean, melanin magic is real, you know. So just being able to be in the skin I'm in, being able to wear the hair I want to wear comfortably. I had my locks in cornrows yesterday, and when I have them in bantu knots, I feel amazing walking around work. And I mean, just even in the city, people are complimenting me, or how did you get your hair like that? And it's just powerful and strong to be a queen and recognized like that. Comparing being a Black woman to being a Black male, I'm a firm believer that we each have disparities. We each have issues against us. And so while there have been a majority of Black men being killed compared to Black women, there's still a lot of injustices being done to Black women that aren't being done to Black men. So I'm a believer that we each have a struggle. And I'm not saying that one is worse than another, because there's a majority of women who have a lot of the sexual violence or issues that they've encountered that Black men don't experience. And so Black shootings are things we see in the media. Yes, this Me Too movement has come about, but it's still something that people are afraid to show. And so when we are able to now see mainstream things being done and injustices against Black men, it's still not videoed or documented or encouraged to show the disparities done against Black women. At this point, being a Black female for me means to be a role model and to lead others to grow, even when it's expanding their mindset or their biases, that it's an opportunity. So being a Black woman lets you go into meetings that they've never seen a person like you before. It means having their mindset grow around what we do, what our experiences are, and our intelligence. I mean, Black women are the most intelligent, by research, the most intelligent demographic. And so showing that that's true, showing that we can be in the community and we aren't the stereotypes that people see. That's what being Black is now, is being that representative, but being a role model to those that come behind us.